So hello guys, welcome to the fourth video of ElectroFun channel, and in today's video we are going to learn and discuss something really new and exciting in the market. Yes, we are going to discuss about the Raspberry Pi Pico, which is really a game changer in the market. So in today's video we are going to use our Raspberry Pi Pico and we'll do some getting started code, and we will show you how to set up the Raspberry Pi Pico for the very first time. So without a further ado, let's get started. So let's start talking about this RP2040 Raspberry Pi Pico microcontroller. So Raspberry Pi is really experienced in its industry. They have come into the microcontroller industry, which till now has been dominated by Arduino Corporation and also ESP Corporation. But Arduino and ESP never came like that. They were never like competitors, right? But in case of Raspberry Pi, the demand was very high for Raspberry Pi chips, because Raspberry Pi chips are used in microcomputer boards. They are actually microcomputers, but in case of Arduino they are actually microcontrollers. So, and they are all in the microcontroller industry, and for IoT industry every beginner will go for ESP, but ESP uses platforms and some firmwares of Arduino. That's why they never tried to conflict with them, they never tried to compete with them. But Raspberry is independent, and there are lots of things, stuffs and background things happened before launching of this Raspberry Pi Pico microcontroller. So basically Pico is the game changer in the society of engineering, because Raspberry Pi has introduced their microcontroller in the world, and it's definitely gonna get boosted. And what is special about this is that it comes with a micro USB port, just like Arduino Nano or any other ESP boards. So this micro USB port is used for serial communication and serial debugging, and also for firmware upload to the board. And here is the main RP2040 chip, which is a dual core ARM Cortex M0 Plus microcontroller, and it has a clock frequency of 133 megahertz. So there is 264 KB on chip RAM in this board. Also there is 16 MB of chip flash memory that you can actually program. There is a DMA controller in it. Also it has 30 GPIO pins. 30 GPIO pins. Can you understand? And out of those, 4 can be used dedicatedly for analog inputs. So it has 2 UARTs, 2 SPI controllers and 2 I2C controllers. Also it has 5 dedicated ADC channels, I mean analog to digital conversion channels, and out of them 1 is for the onboard mounted temperature sensor, and it is really very accurate, more accurate than DHT11 or DHT22 or any kind of other external temperature humidity sensors available in the market. And if you tell me to rank it somewhere in between, I will rank it much higher than this Arduino Nano, a little lower than this ESP32, and significantly higher than this ESP8266. So now we are going to get started with Raspberry Pi Pico programming. First you have to head on to the Raspberry Pi org documentation web page, where they have given the smart Pico guidance, okay, getting started guidance for Pico. And from there you can actually look that they have given a nice board specifications. And as Raspberry Pi Pico supports both MicroPython SDK as well as C or C++ SDK, you have given both instructions for that. Whatever you have or you prefer, you can go for that. And if you are new into this field and you are wondering what to use, whether MicroPython or C or C++, and if you are good enough with programming, then I will suggest go for MicroPython, because it's easier. So in this tutorial I am going to show you the MicroPython tutorial. First you have to download this file from the website, download the UF2 file, which is actually the firmware for MicroPython. So you have to download, just click on it and it will get downloaded. Okay, I'm just canceling it because I already have it. Okay, now to program this you have to go to some IDE. You need some IDE to program this. So I will prefer, for MicroPython development, I will prefer Thorny IDE. So to download Thorny IDE, go to Google and search for Thorny IDE and you will get that Thorny Python IDE for beginners, and just go and download it. Just go here for Windows in my case. So once Thorny gets downloaded, you have to run this exe file. Sometimes you might get a warning from Windows Defender that don't run this application, this might be a potential malware. Just go to advanced or more info and then run anyway, because Thorny is still not recognized much more. So once you have downloaded the firmware and Thorny IDE, the next step is to install the MicroPython firmware into the board. And to do so, just plug in your USB or micro USB board first with your computer and to the micro USB end. While plugging it into the Raspberry Pi Pico board, press the boot select button here and keep it pressed on until the plugging in is completely done. Okay, so once you have plugged in, release the button. So if you do so, you enter the mass storage option or the mass storage mode of the Raspberry Pi Pico, and here you will get a folder or a drive named RPI-RP2, and there will be two files, index and info UF2. So first you have to just go to the download location where you have downloaded the MicroPython firmware. Here it is in my case. Just copy it, open the Pico drive and paste it. Once you have done pasting, it will boot the Raspberry Pi Pico device with MicroPython firmware and it will disappear from your computer just as it disappeared from my computer as a drive. So once it has get installed in the Raspberry Pi Pico, so for my case it has already been installed, just it got installed, the MicroPython firmware, and now you open Thorny. So once you open Thorny, you have to code it. So I will start writing with from machine. So we are going to blink the inbuilt LED of the Raspberry Pi Pico. So from machine import pin. Okay, so now we have to define our LED object as pin number 25, because the GPIO 25 is attached with the inbuilt LED. Okay, and make it as out because it will our output. Okay, so it is done, and we'll put here, let's say we'll turn on the LED. So LED dot value is 1. Okay, LED dot value is 1. Now you have to save it. First you have to go to the to enable MicroPython here, you have to go to select interpreter under run section, and from there you have to select MicroPython for Raspberry Pi Pico that I have already selected, and for the port let it be try to detect port automatically and get OK. And now I have to save it. To save it, I will go here, save, and from these two options you have to select Raspberry Pi Pico that will save this program file into your Raspberry Pi Pico board. So just bring it. Okay, so I have previously done some experimental stuffs with that code. So for here I am writing LED underscore blink dot py for Python extension. Okay, and then okay. So our code is saved as ledblink.py, and as you can see here in the computer screen that the REPL prompt is already open. That confirms you that your board has been successfully installed with MicroPython, and MicroPython or Python is actually being run on your board. So it will be pin.out. I just confirmed it. Okay, so now I will resave it by Control S and rerun it. As you can see, the LED has been turned on, and if I change the value led.value to 0 and save it again and rerun it, you see that LED has turned off. Now we have to do something more interesting. We have to make it blink. So how to do that? So here is the LED blinking code, where we are importing timer module from machine library, and we are also creating a timer object, and we are defining a function that will trigger the LED blinking operation, and we have initialized the timer module, and that callbacks the tick function that is actually taking care of the LED blinking. So let's run the code, and as you can see the LED has started blinking. As you can see that we have initialized our timer object with frequency 2.5, so the LED blinking rate is also of frequency 2.5. So that is it for today, guys. I hope you guys have learned and experienced something new with this video, and I hope you guys will not have any problem with the Raspberry Pi Pico getting started tutorial with this video. And if you guys didn't like the video, you can give a dislike, but if you guys have liked the video, please give a thumbs up, please like the video, please share the video with your friends and other people, and don't forget to subscribe our channel. It will be really great for us, and it will motivate us to do something new with the channel. And comment us below if you find any bugs or if you have any suggestions for our video, and let us know what you do with this Raspberry Pi Pico, what else you have done, what else we can do, and you can give us any kind of suggestion in the comment box. So feel free to use the comment section below. Give us your feedback. So thank you guys.